I am on the line right now with Sam Adonis. You know him from his work in CMLL, All Japan, Indies across the United States. You're going to have a chance to see more of his work coming up this Wednesday. Heroes of Lucha Libre premieres on Crackle. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm sitting here enjoying the cold Pittsburgh weather, but I'm excited because after a long time, Heroes of Lucha Libre is finally coming to television.
Yeah, I know what you mean about the wonderful weather that Pennsylvania always has around this time. It seems like there's no fall anymore. It's just summer and then right into gray.
Well, this quarantine's been awful for all of us, but at least right now it's not so bad because it's not like I'm missing out on anything.
Yeah.
At least it's nice and warm in my house, and there's not much going on outside.
Yeah, I'm in Philadelphia in the suburbs, so I'm not missing too much. I'm trying to enjoy, suburbia, going outside and, watching the leaves fall down and all that good stuff. So
I wrestled in Camden, New Jersey 3 weeks ago, and it was so cold. It was one of the last outdoor shows this season, and I wrestled about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I was freezing. So I will not miss those outdoor shows until they resume in the fall or in the spring or summer of next year.
Yeah, that'll be quite an interesting development, I guess, is the short answer. Waiting to see what goes on with that.
I just wish we could return to normal life soon.
I feel you there. Before we get to that, Heroes of Lucha Libre is going to premiere on Crackle. Said Wednesday, November 25th, but it's tomorrow. I'm interested in learning more about it because I've seen the trailer, I've seen some screenshots, I know a little bit about the product, but talk a little bit about what your role is on the show.
I myself am one of the performers on Heroes of Lucha Libre. What a lot of people don't know is this production has been in the works for the better part of 2 years now. It's kind of been a little bit of a secret. Whenever we were approached about doing this project, it basically came out of nowhere. We were all contacted by a firm in Los Angeles, and nobody knew anybody. It was just a couple, it was very secretive. And they announced the first show at the US Bank Arena in Ontario, California. And we got there, and every last one of us had our jaws dropped to the floor because this project is massive. I would say their production quality is that of, if not more than an AEW, WWE, or Impact. It's just out of this world as far as presentation and production goes. Like I said, these were pre-taped episodes, so it's from back when there was a live audience. And I don't know how much the fans or listeners are familiar with Lucha Libre, but Mexican wrestling, the fans are so much more passionate than the American fans, almost a little bit of an ECW style energy. So the episodes themselves came together really well. There's been a lot of these TV tapings, and I just can't wait for the world to see it because it's completely different than anything else out there right now.
Yeah, I think, that's going to hit on a different level, seeing new content with fans in attendance, especially now. But the closest thing I could really relate it to is if people are familiar, like the Disney on Ice, obviously it's not an ice show, but they also did the Marvel, like it's pretty much like an arena tour across the country, and it's very theatrical. It's, if you could think of wrestling being even more theatrical than it already is, it tells a story. There's Lucha Libre where it's making an easier transition for the domestic fan to break into Lucha Libre, which I think is really cool because, if you look at stuff in the United States, it's very like WWE kind of monopolized. Here's what TV wrestling is, and AEW is kind of doing some different stuff. But, I think people are going to be excited to see this because really Lucha Underground is really the only show that kind of got a chance to show what else wrestling can be on a larger scale. So, what's like the most exciting thing, without giving too much away? What are you looking forward to as far as the fan reaction experience from a TV audience perspective?
what I'm looking forward to most is the fact that it's not really aimed towards wrestling fans. We kind of live inside our wrestling bubble, and we follow certain protocols of what wrestling has been for all these years. And they told us from day one they don't want to be a wrestling company. They don't want to compete with WWE or Impact or AEW. They want to compete with Ninja Turtles or Marvel or something like that, a brand for children. And I think it's important for a lot of people to look at it through those eyes, not necessarily watch it and critique it like you would watch your normal wrestling show. You kind of really need to embrace it and escape into that frame of reference as a child. You want to appreciate the characters, appreciate the storylines, because it's not necessarily about the people under the mask. It's about what you're watching. And I think it's something that's so different from everything else out there right now that I really believe this could be something special here in the United States.
And again, you guys can check it out for free on Crackle Wednesday, November 25th. You go on crackle.com. They have a Google Play app, iPhone app. You just go type Crackle. It's that easy to get. I think one of my TVs has it installed by default. So they make it as easy as possible to get Crackle. You can check it out tomorrow, Wednesday, November 25th.
Well, a little insider secret. Wednesday, November 25th actually begins tonight at midnight. So if anybody's staying up late, I do believe some of the content is available. I don't know if all the episodes will be available or if it's an every week thing. Like I said, so many of us are kept in the dark on this. But it's just going to be unique. It's going to be completely different. And I'm really excited to be a part of it because, working in Mexico for so long, I know how talented these guys are. And a lot of the guys on the show have never been featured in any American program before. So if you want a dose of something new and different, you got to check it out and find out for yourself who you do like. But there also is, people that you've heard of before on the show. Dragon Lee, Mystico will be there. Tenibles, Mil Máscaras, huge stars. So it's something completely different. If you like lucha, you will love it. If you're not familiar with lucha, try it out. Watch it for the first time. Keep an open mind, and remember, it's not. They're not trying to, steal somebody else's thunder. They're not trying to be the latest guy to get a 5-star match. It's something completely different. And I think if people keep that in their mind, they'll definitely enjoy the product.
Yeah, I'm going to put myself in the category of I appreciate lucha. I'm not a huge fan just because I don't have access to it as much as obviously what I can get. It's starting to break out on the internet, and you have stuff like Masked Republic, Heroes of Lucha Libre. You have different events. People are starting to embrace it more and make it easier to access this stuff. So, I mean, even speaking about you yourself, like you're really starting to break out on a different level to a United States audience because you really gained notoriety for the work that you did in CMLL, where it was a misconception that you were playing a Trump supporter character. And I know you dispelled that and said, it's more about being the button pusher than it is being a Trump supporter. But, what are you looking for as far as, showing your talent to people? Because not only are you performing in a production, but you're also going to have that name value, and this is really like another way for people to really see what you can do as a wrestler, not just as a lucha libre performer.
I've been very lucky because I've had a fantastic career all over the world, in Japan, Mexico, a lot of time in Europe, and I've done so much. But now the wrestling business is so internet driven. And if it doesn't appeal to, in those categories, if it's not the certain companies that everyone watch, a lot of stuff gets overlooked. So the vast majority of my career has been in Mexico. And this is just a great opportunity for me to be seen here in the United States. Like I said, Mexican wrestling is kind of more character based. And like you alluded to earlier, or pre-alluded to, it's, I was the villain. I was a Donald Trump supporting villain in a room full of Mexicans. That's not who I am. I don't care anything about politics. I think it's nuts. I just like a good antagonist in a wrestling event. So, for people that can watch this and see me do what I do, hopefully they understand, man, he's good at making people angry, and know that it is just a performance. It's a performance art, just like it is, anywhere else. I'm just really pumped to be out there and be seen again. Again, the matches were very long ago. The last TV taping was about 18 months ago. So, we're a little bit behind the ball here on the actual content, but I really believe in the product. I believe in the staff. I believe in what it can be. And hopefully this can be something to grow. This can be something that, let's say 6 months or a year from now, we are doing regular events all over the country and touring like we could be and should be. So it's just an awesome opportunity for me. There's so many guys that worked so hard in this, and I really believe it's going to be a really cool show.
Yeah, hopefully, now that we have a few months dealing with this and we're starting to see socially distanced shows and trying to get back to a new normal, maybe we can have, talks about a season 2 and talks about arena events where it's safe for the performers and safe for the fans attending.
We're all ready for it. The whole world's been just so bored and ready for something more lately. But, at the end of the day, we got to take care of business first and make sure it's safe to leave our house. We all have loved ones we have to be careful and take care of. So, it is what it is. We're in a good spot. It's starting out now after all this time. The sky is the limit. I just ask, anybody listening to this or, maybe not a big fan of Mexican wrestling, just try it out. Just see what it's like, because again, this could be something good, but it's not going to succeed without any support, So anybody that can check it out, we'd really appreciate it. And if you like it, hopefully you guys will help it succeed to become something more than it is right now.
And I want to touch back on the CMLL work briefly. And it almost happened by accident. You came along at the right time. You were in Mexico in 2016, happened to be when the U.S. election was going on. Did you ever think, or do you think now about, that sort of, and again, I'm using character loosely because it's not a Trump character, but do you feel like you thought about the shelf life of that angle or, pressing that button? Like, do you feel like, now you're going to get to, explore a different avenue?
Well, it's like you said, it really was never a Donald Trump character. It was just, I'm a heel. And I always say that, I would throw peanuts at someone with a peanut allergy. It happened quickly. It was something I didn't really intend on doing. I had Donald Trump's face airbrushed on a pair of my tights, and the response was just overwhelming. So it was something that I turned the dial up on and was able to have a lot of success with. For the most part, I don't really do that character anywhere anymore other than the Lucha Libre shows. I spent a lot of time in Japan where I never walked out to the ring with the flag. And most American independents, I don't have that character with me at all. So I've been able to do well without it, but I would definitely, I don't regret doing it. It was definitely, my 15 minutes of fame, if you will, because once that was on fire, I don't know who's listening, but they can check it out. Just get on YouTube and search Sam Adonis. There's reports from Vice and NBC, CNN, Reuters, GQ magazine. All these places did stories on the gimmick, and it was great. I wouldn't trade it for a thing. And I definitely know there's, excuse me, I know there's so much more in the tank. I'm 31 years old now, and I've been wrestling for 13 years. So I have a lot to give, and I definitely don't think that is anything that defines me as a performer. So I think the best yet to come, and I'm just happy to be on a national TV product right now for people to see what I can do.
Mm-hmm. And I'll close by saying what I meant was, as far as obviously when you first started doing it, we didn't know how this election was going to go, but just as far as like transitioning out of it that way, but I wanted to touch on another thing that you just mentioned, and your work in Japan. And again, this is kind of like, okay, if people aren't familiar with, or if it doesn't come from New Japan, it's like, you miss a lot. You worked for All Japan, you did these different appearances, and do you feel like you're going to bring some of that too, because you have so much experience working in Mexico? Do you do you feel like you can bring sort of what you learned or what you embraced in Japan to the United States too?
Oh, 100%. There's some matches on YouTube now from the last, let's say this past year. I think right now my style is a very hybrid style, a lot of the high flying, faster paced, looser stuff. But I've also gone 40 minutes in Japan and, really laid it in with people. So I can do what I can do. And I think, wherever I'm at, I kind of change my performance to fit to that crowd and that audience.
Mm.
Um, like you said, the Trump gimmicks in the past now, I'm not going to keep going forward with that. But for example, the other day I was in West Virginia and I came out as a Biden supporter because that crowd didn't want that, so I can adapt. I can do what I need to do wherever it's at. I think there's no substitute for experience. And, I have a lot of that for my age. So I'm really proud of everything I've done. I think, wherever you see me, you won't be let down. It's nice now to finally have some place in the United States where I can be seen because, at the end of the day, I'd love to be a household name just like any of these guys. It just like sometimes I feel like I wasted too much time overseas, when some of the people here in the United States are making their name a little bit quicker just by, taking over the independence.
Mm.
I sometimes that might have been the right way to go, but everything's been great. Everything's going well. With a little bit of help, everything will be back to normal soon, and hopefully we'll be in a full schedule of pro wrestling by next summer.
Yeah, and your work is very well rounded. Like I know we already talked Mexico, Japan, but you also have some experience in the UK. You were WWE developmental talent, which I actually didn't know this part, but you worked with your brother Corey for a few days. You told Chris Jericho. I actually just found that out, but you have experience with the the quote unquote WWE style of wrestling, and then British, all of these things. So I mean, if you're trying to introduce yourself to an American audience besides Heroes of Lucha Libre tomorrow on Crackle, plug, is there one match that you can point to that either embraces all of those things that you call your hybrid style, or just one in particular that people could check out that you really you finished the match and you were like, you know what, everything went right, like I really like this match?
I actually had a match in August with Brian Cage in Texas. That was fantastic. I was very proud of that. Finally being able to work with Brian Cage after all this time. I would say we tore the house down. I really loved sharing a ring with him. It was one of those special nights where everything was, in our favor. So what I'll do is I'll post it on my Twitter account. So if anybody's watching this wants to check me out, my Twitter will have the link of my match with Brian Cage. But yes, Brian's very similar to myself as far as, knowing a little bit of everything. For a guy his size and his powerful, he's still one of the most agile wrestlers on the planet. We definitely had great chemistry and we put it all together. I was able to bring some of my technical skills, plus my lucha, plus my, brawling or whatever it may be. We had a really good connection that night. And I think that'd be one that people would like to check out for me. But what I always try to explain to people, I just want to be, I like my style to be like, oh, that guy reminds me of somebody I used to watch. I like that throwback, whether it's, the 80s or the 90s or ECW style or Japanese style. I want people to see me and say, that wrestler's like the guys we used to watch. And that's kind of something I've always prided myself on. And I think a lot of people know me for those reasons. So, yeah, it's just great finally to be in this opportunity. But like I said, wherever the opportunity is, I really believe that my best days are ahead of me.
You have any upcoming events, anything you want to promote? I know we talked quite a bit about Heroes of Lucha Libre, but anything to close out the year that we can?
I have IWC Wrestling in Pittsburgh on December the 5th. That'll be my last event this year. But luckily it picks up quite fast in January. On the 14th, I'll be in Texas. The 15th in Texas as well. But anybody that wants to reach me can find me on my Instagram or Twitter, which is @RealSamAdonis. Shoot me a message, check out my stuff, whatever you need, I'm around. It's the beauty of this, the internet right now through this pandemic is we're able to stay in touch with everybody. So anybody that can check me out, I really appreciate your support. And even if you don't like me, don't like my stuff, please give Heroes of Lucha Libre a chance. And, hopefully this is something we can all enjoy in the future.
Real quick, Pittsburgh's home. What's it like as a wrestling town?
Oh, Pittsburgh, Berkeley has been a huge wrestling town because of Bruno Sammartino. We have a very great loyal fan base. Pittsburgh has always been one of the biggest WWE towns. There's a couple good independents around here, but it's I'd like to say that my family's pretty well known around here because of the wrestling, and Elias as well from WWE. So people know who's, and Dr. Britt Baker, of course. That one slipped my mind. But just considering the amount of high caliber pro wrestlers that are from the city that are active today, people around here know it's a wrestling city, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know you get like Chicago and Philly and all the, but I mean, you actually sit down and think about it. Like there's a lot of talent coming out of that area. So, Wardlow's another one.
Yeah, yeah. It's been like this for years. Bruiser Brody was born about an hour from here. Big John Studd's from about 30 minutes north of here. Kurt Angle, Shane Douglas. But at the same time, Pittsburgh's always been famous for our quarterbacks too. We Southwestern Pennsylvania has a historic lineage of football players. So must be something in the Three Rivers water. But I don't know. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and what's crazy is Kurt Angle's like the ninth name that we came up with. So
Yeah.
you gotta have some depth if you're putting him that low on the list, right?
But the thing about Pittsburgh, it's just such a small city. They say, everybody on earth is connected through 6 degrees of separation. Pittsburgh, it's usually about 2 degrees of separation. If you know someone from another town, they at least know someone and it's pretty amazing because especially in a situation like ours with independent wrestling, we're able to promote throughout each other without the city. So basically, if you like professional wrestling in Pittsburgh, you probably know a wrestler or know somebody that's tied to the independent scene, and it's just makes it better for everyone because when you have that hometown touch, people tend to get a little bit more involved.
All right, Sam Adonis, you can check him out. IWC next month. Tomorrow, Heroes of Lucha Libre premieres on Crackle. Check it out at midnight, all day Wednesday. Sam, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, man. I'll see you again. Take care.